Want to welcome now former U.S. Senator of Massachusetts, Scott Brown, to the line, and of course, a Donald Trump supporter. Really appreciate your time this morning, sir.
Sure. Good morning to you and your listeners.
Thank you. It's really interesting to me. Last night, Donald Trump has a huge night. Ted Cruz gets out of the race. And you would think that at least for one night, the not Donald Trump supporters of the Conservative Party might, I don't know, back down a bit. But it seemed like they doubled down on Donald Trump. And just want to get a sense from you. You're somebody that knows how to unite a party. What do you think Donald Trump needs to do to bring them into his fold?
Well, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I was on with Megyn Kelly last night and had a battle with one of the Cruz supporters. I was a little surprised I was surprised, but I wasn't surprised. When you lose, you can go one of two ways. You can be, very gracious and say, you know what, did my best, left it all on the table, and the chips, fell where they fell, and I'm going to move on and I'm going to reevaluate and then, get behind the party. That's one way. The other way can be, well, he's not this, he's not that, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. And, that tells me that there needs to be a cooling off period and a reevaluation. And I think what Donald said about Ted, now that it's over, is that, he ran really, I thought, and he thinks, I know for a fact, a really, really good race. He was a brilliant tactician. He was really taking advantage of every small opportunity that he was given. It's just it wasn't his time. And Donald recognized that and complimented him. So that's the first step in healing and getting him into the fold is to acknowledge his effort, acknowledge that he left it all out there and that he's working his tail off. And so that's number one. I'm anticipating. I've suggested, that he actually pick up the phone and call him personally and try to get together, and work through the issues and bring Ted into the fold and have them there as an advisor on these conservative constitutional issues that he and his followers feel so strongly about. And how do you bring people together? I've been working for weeks now, reaching out to my former colleagues, and the main theme seems to be that they like what he's saying, they just don't know him. They've never spoken to him, they've never met him, so a lot of what they see is sound bites. So I've been actually putting folks in contact with him and vice versa to let them get to know each other. And that, I think, will go a long way to kind of uniting the so-called establishment. And then finally, I think a lot of who he's going to pick for his vice president and the cabinet choices and potential Supreme Court picks, I'm suggesting, and others are too, to get some of those names out there so he can show those conservative
Senator, you have brought it up. I was questioning whether I would bring it up, but since you did, let's roll the tape, Fitzy.
The right thing's going to happen, and we'll be behind him 100%. We have to, because he, Vice President. Hey, that sounds like a good. Hey, very good. Central, hey, you know what? And he's central casting. Look at that guy, central casting.
Okay, let's put that down. That, of course, is Donald Trump talking about you, Senator. I don't disagree. Yeah. I think you would be an excellent vice presidential pick. Do you think you'll be on the short list? Would you accept the request from the Donald?
Who knows? I've made a recommendation to Senator John Thune. I feel very strongly that John would be fantastic. John's from a smaller state, but I don't think states matter anymore. What John provides is he will carry the entire central part of this country, the left coast and the right coast, and he is that bridge to the establishment where he is so deeply respected on the left and the right, inside and out. And so I've made that recommendation numerous times just to make the record clear, and I'll do anything I can if he's the guy to make sure that happens. He brings in the Second Amendment, the pro-life, the establishment creds, and he knows his way around. He's a former congressman and U.S. senator, and he's been vetted and highly, highly respected. So that's my choice.
Now, it's interesting. I mean, Donald Trump has in his campaign have sort of had a little bit of a nod towards not causing as much trouble when it comes to his campaign. He always needs to speak his mind. Obviously, that's what his supporters love about him. But just yesterday, I think he was tweaking some people in the media, and that seems sort of more like the old Donald Trump rather than sort of a little bit of a newer, more presidential Donald Trump. Do you have any concerns that he keeps butting heads potentially and going after people in the media as losers or as other names he uses?
Well, I'm not sure of the individual circumstances. He's definitely had run-ins. I mean, I've had run-ins. I've seen it. I felt it. I've been subjected to it, a.k.a. Boston Globe 24/7, and other entities. So he's gonna go right after him and tell people what he thinks about them.
It was just surprising to me. It was actually this morning. Sorry, I apologize for jumping in. It was actually this morning where he was on MSNBC and he was asked about the George Will Washington Post column from April 29th. And listen, he just had this huge night last night. It seems as though he could have given George Will a break and not called him a loser and say that nobody reads him. It seemed like gratuitous to do that this morning when he's at the top.
He's at the top, and that's what got him to the top, is that directness. George Will, and that they certainly have something between them. I like George Will. I do read his stuff, and certainly he has his own opinion, and I respect it. I don't necessarily always agree with it. But Donald's going to be Donald. I think he needs to strike a balance, and that's what his kids and his supporters, people like me and others have suggested. Listen, there's nothing wrong with tweeting, but be very careful, be very disciplined. You have a chance right now. It's yours to lose, so you have to be disciplined. You have to be magnanimous sometimes. You have to be gracious at other times, and you have to be tactically sound and not make unforced errors like he had a couple of weeks where he did. So. I'm hopeful. I've noticed some changes, positive changes. I've noticed there's still areas to work on, and so we'll see what happens.
Well, speaking of tweets, Elizabeth Warren went a little nuts last night. I don't know if you saw this. She's got tweet after tweet after tweet going after Donald Trump. What do you think of this?
Is she drunk tweeting now?
It's so funny you said that because I envision her with a glass of Chardonnay in Cambridge, and here she is, talks about equality for all. She lives in a gorgeous home, and I guarantee that she was half in the bag tweeting last night. So I am with you about that. At 10:46 at night, I think she had a little little white wine. But saying things like there's more enthusiasm for Donald Trump among leaders of the KKK than leaders of the political party he now controls.
Yeah, toxic stew is your favorite, Jacqueline.
Yes.
And she's going to fight her heart out to make sure Donald Trump's toxic stew of hatred and insecurity never reaches the White House.
Well, first of all, what she says is completely irrelevant. It doesn't matter. She had her chance to make a difference. She hasn't even bothered to endorse anybody. So it just is a continuation of her phoniness and her inability to make decisions that really have her stand on her own 2 feet. All she does is yell and criticize and demean and belittle people instead of working for the people of Massachusetts. Videotapes it, puts it out on YouTube, raises money off it. I mean, she's been there almost a full term and she's done nothing. She's got no bills, no amendments, nothing passed. With respect, I mean, I was there for 3 years and had the Hire a Hero, the insider trading, the crowdfunding bill, the 3% withholding, the Arlington Cemetery bill, and her predecessors prior to me had incredible legislative histories. So I guess if it's the new norm to go down there and yell and scream at people and divide people, and she's doing a great job at that.
No love lost there, I suppose.
People don't care. Donald Trump and his supporters, I can tell you for a fact that there are a tremendous amount of support in the leadership. This is what happens when you actually have a legitimate debate, and when you have 17 down to 3, down to 2, down to 1. This is what happens. You have many, many different opinions. You're going to have bruised egos and people upset. But ultimately, they recognize, as the people of Indiana recognize, that Hillary Clinton is a flawed candidate. She even lost with women. And Bernie Sanders, while I don't agree with a thing he says, at least he stands for something. At least he believes what he believes. And her weakness is showing. And take away those stupid delegates and start peeling them over to Bernie. He's the nominee. But you have people like Jean Shaheen and Maggie Hassan and Hassan and, actually, going against the will of the voters in New Hampshire and using those superdelegates to basically even the score take away those superdelegates who were just there for basically when Jesse Jackson was around to keep him out.
Oh my! We were just talking about this. Yes, we were just talking about this history. Apparently, it was like Gary Hart and Mondale first, and then these old reasons. It's so bizarre, and you actually would know about this as well because, of course, the local lawmakers changed the rules after they had changed it for Mitt Romney in terms of it appointing a senator, and then they tried to change it back. But I did want to ask you,
let me interrupt there real quick.
Sure, yeah.
That was Governor Patrick who changed the law.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
They wanted to send down a senator to ram through Obamacare, which they were successful, and then Galvin held up my election for almost my swearing in for almost 10 days to 2 weeks, so they could ram through as much as possible.
Geez.
Let's cut the crap here.
Yeah.
They're so biased. Finally, I was going around the state thanking people. Finally, I'm going around begging people, for the Secretary of State to approve it. Of course, with Nikki Tsongas, what was it, a day?
Oh, it was, immediate.
Her special election is a joke. It's so biased there. It's a joke.
Wanted to ask you, there are plenty of Republicans, unfortunately, who are angry. You actually encountered one last night, apparently, with this Katie Pavlich course.
We should have a little bit more respect for a former senator,
I think so.
I have to say.
But I want to ask you, even people here in Massachusetts, Jennifer Nassauer, who was the Massachusetts Republican Party chairwoman for a while, she tweeted last night, "I don't think I can watch his red face and white raccoon eyes and listen to the limited vocabulary for much longer. Hashtag where's my party? Are you concerned that what do you think of her tweeting this?"
Well, her party and my party, it's morphing into a new and different and more energized and I think all-inclusive party. We're getting those Reagan Democrats. We're getting millennials. We're getting disgruntled folks who have never been part of the process at all. The key is now people's feelings are going to be hurt, and they're going to lose out on the perks that they've had and the control they've had, if whether they're going to step out and not participate at all, or are they going to say, reality check, we have to fight to make sure that we don't have 4 to 8 more years of Clinton Obama. And that's the choice, as I said last night on Fox. That is the choice, period. You can make up all these wonderful excuses and, I'm miserable, or they're miserable, he stinks, they stink, the sky is falling, or you can actually just come back to reality and say, okay, here's the choice. You get Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. What's it going to be? And if you say Hillary Clinton, then don't complain when we have a stagnant economy, when we're laughed at throughout the world, and that we basically have the same old, higher taxes, more regulations, stifling of business, and the taking away of our rights and freedoms. That's the choice.
All right, Scott Brown.
Just really quickly,
ahead.
I apologize, Hillary. I just want to jump in. One last question. In terms of some Massachusetts Republicans getting behind Donald Trump, have you had any conversations with Governor Charlie Baker or former Governor Mitt Romney to see if they would reconsider a look at Donald Trump now that he is the presumptive nominee?
Well, Charlie's going to do what he's going to do for Massachusetts. I think he's doing a great job. He's a dear friend. I think he and Karen are doing just remarkably well. And he's going to look out for Charlie Baker, and he's going to look out for the Commonwealth. And I have no problems with that. And to have people try to box him in and say, well, your guy's this, your guy's that. Listen, his guy is the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. That's his guy. He's taking care of the Commonwealth, and that's cool. Mitt Romney, I've heard from many sources that he has said indirectly or directly to them that he hasn't said it to me, but I'm obviously, this is hearsay, that, if it's between Hillary and Trump, Trump wins. So, we'll see what they do in the privacy of the voting booth.
Right.
I know that in an instance like Charlie, if Charlie picks up the phone and calls Hillary, he's going to get a call like 3 months later. Picks up the phone and calls Trump, he's going to get a call within minutes. And that's going to be helpful when you need those disaster funds, or you need, educational funds or special need funding, or you need, some type of consideration on something that's in legislation important for Massachusetts. And that's the difference. And that's something he and they are going to have to reconcile.
Senator Scott Brown, really appreciate your time this morning, weighing in on a variety of issues regarding Donald Trump and the fact that he now is the presumptive nominee. Thank you very much, sir, and have a good day.
All right, you guys too. Bye-bye.